I think so too. Hello. Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
hi. So this is a first non-coloring activity,
Mhm.
and so like the first coloring activity, the first time I went live with a guest was with Roots and Waves, and so
Mhm.
the first time I go live with a guest without something to do is with Essence of the Moon, and so I'm
Great.
hoping
Thank
to
you.
be having a lot more of these going on in the future. And so we're just having a chit chat tonight. And
Mhm.
thank you, Scarab. Thank you, Tapestry of the Unseen Tape. Thank you, Miss Tarot D. And thank you, Underneath the Veil of the Marigold.
That is my girl, Yavita. She's a really, really, really good friend of mine, and she lives on the West Coast by you. Well, she lives in Washington, so yeah.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
does she do videos and stuff like that?
She does. She has about 4,000 subs, maybe.
Oh, wow. So
Like really good protective content. Like really good. Like she helps you uh make concoctions that are going to be very like protect you. So she does all of that good stuff. Hi,
yeah.
Sarah. We have tarot and oracle for the soul. That's Sarah, and she
Mhm.
is the one that I just had the Lenormand alien Lenormand deck. Is her husband's the one that made that, so she's in the chat as well.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So maybe the young lady on the West Coast wants to come on my coloring the tarot show sometime.
yeah. Reach out to her. Yeah, so she's
Yeah.
underneath the veil of marigold. She's really good. I absolutely adore her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, yeah. So I was like, I got your list of questions for because I know you didn't think I would be interested in Halloween, which you're actually absolutely are true. But when I was looking over one of those the videos and it was about costumes, like, well, I got lots of costumes and stuff,
You do have lots of costumes. We've
and
seen a couple
so
of them.
I was thinking, well, I'll just do that because I like costumes.
Mhm.
And then yesterday when I was at the store, I was like looking for candy corn because to see 'em, I don't remember what it tastes like. It's been
Oh,
so
it's
long since
ugh,
I've had candy corn, and so I was thinking, well, what does it taste like? Even?
like just nasty sugar. But my friend said, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
So
reach out to her.
my show email address that I'm using for both this
Hmm.
channel and the other is
Yeah,
the.999shod
I'll send it to her.
at gmail. Yeah, yeah. And anyway, so I was listening to her interview on Moon Scarab's channel 3 days ago.
I think so. Yeah, in orbit. So it was
Yeah,
Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. Candy
yeah.
corn is the best. Miss Tarot D. By the way, Miss Tarot D, I did tag you in that video. So if you want to do the Halloween tag, you are tagged in it. You're the first one in there tagged.
Well, I don't really remember that candy corn tasted all that terrible because but I don't remember what it tastes like because it's been so long. I think it was like I think the worst of those was like juvie fruits, juvie because
Yeah, I remember those.
I
Yeah.
remember having some of those juvie fruits in a old timey movie theater down at Lincoln
Yeah.
City. That's the
Yeah.
next the
I like the
nearest.
lemon heads, like the old, like the ones that come in a box. The lemon heads, I like those, or like the cinnamon ones.
Yeah. And then having chewing into one of those things and having it pull a filling right out. I know it
Oh
wasn't.
yeah, that's
I know
perfect.
I wasn't an adult. I know it was like a kid when it happened.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's kind of fun. I remember with that, and but yeah, and so yeah,
Yeah, we have Cosmic is in as well. Hi, Cosmic.
hi Cosmic. Yeah, he wanted to come over to my sister's in here too,
Hi.
and eventually we're going to do for. I'm going to try something with the tools of fortune, a video reading since I don't have enough subs there for to do live stream, but to do like a recorded video reading, and which gives me a chance to try out this microphone that I have, which has it goes in the USB port on your phone, and then it has like
Oh,
two
nice.
two mics on it, so I can put one on her and I can put one on me,
Oh, nice.
and then I can go do a reading with my with that since I'm kind of word orientated, but it's this is I got it mostly for a show deck, which I bought at an Etsy store for my birthday. And this is a
Mhm.
keyword tarot, but it's a little bit more custom made because it has a little card summary down here, which is a lot of the, and then being it's also got really thick cardstock too.
Oh, nice, and it looks like it has reversals on there and astrology, right? There.
It does. It has all that information that I don't know what it means. Uh,
Okay. I wouldn't know either. We'd
well,
have
the
to ask, like,
astrology is like,
someone who
yeah.
does astrology, like, Ramon or Bill, or I don't do any of that stuff. It's so
Well,
much for me to learn on top of everything else, and
it,
being in college, it's so hard.
exactly. And then we're not exactly like young people anymore, so it's not.
Wait, did you call me old, Bill?
No, I was talking about
No, I'm joking.
you're. I know you're younger than I am. I do know that. I get you're like 10 years younger than I am.
How old are you, Bill? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh wait, I'm almost 60.
Oh, yeah, I'll be 44 in October.
Yeah, so that's about and so that's like almost so it's like 13 years younger,
Yeah.
something like. And anyways, yeah. So one of the things I want to talk to you about tonight. Well, let's just start in with this whole thing about reading celebrities and reading people who with the whole thing
Ethics?
of the ethics of reading people who you don't know
Don't
and
have
and
permission to read?
so,
Yeah, so I see them the same way as doing a third party, like a love reading or anything like that. I don't do I don't do celebrities. I don't do anybody that I don't have permission to do readings for. So,
Mhm.
um again, like the love readings to me, I don't know. I mean, I can read around the energy, but reading around the other person and reading how they feel about me, I think to me is just icky. I don't know. I don't like doing that. I don't like doing celebrities, presidents, anybody that, just doesn't have haven't given me permission to read. It's part of my
Yeah,
ethics. The same thing with when I'm doing magical workings and protective workings or anything like that. Or I will never do like a love spell for anyone. That's their free will. I don't do any of that stuff or the protective magic. Like I don't do it on anyone that I don't really know the situation. And if it's like for family members and I'm familiar with what's going on, then I will help. But any other one that's asking for help, I probably won't. I won't
yeah.
help them. Miss Tarot D, I'll help you though.
So maybe somebody might think about pushing the like and the other buttons. There's all those buttons, and I did put a
Yeah.
link at the top. I pinned a link. I hope I pinned a link at the top to Selena's page,
Yep.
and
And then Cosmic said he thought you were in your early 40s.
it's the skin.
I think so. Yeah.
It's the skin. My dad had skin like this, and it didn't. And so he passed when he was 72. Was he 72? Let's see, 1938 to 2012. I think that's 74.
I am in college, Cosmic. I went to
And,
school when
and
I was like 41. I was just turning 41, but I was already in college. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, I can say that I've been journeying with the tarot for a couple years, and well, I guess when I was talking with Ms. Tarot D last week, and we are talking about like head knowledge and
Mhm.
stuff like that, and where you don't necessarily need the head knowledge, but my thoughts and feelings is like you have this underpinning, the thing that sits underneath it. If I where it's kind of like it's like because I was a mathematics major in college and I did a lot, and so there's
Mhm.
this whole sense of there's this. this theoretical level of mathematics, which I found absolutely fascinating, which is and is also when I did religious studies, it was what I found fascinating was the esoteric underpinnings of it all.
Oh,
And
nice.
so, yeah, I don't mean to be dominating here. What was I
No, you're
talking?
fine, you're
Mm,
fine.
You're talking about the okay, so not doing okay, I can see that when you see you're doing a reading of a love reading, and so you want to rephrase that question so it's specifically about the
The
querent.
energy around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
And
energy around, not, like, directly on, are they going to ask me out on a date? Like, stuff like that, or are they interested in me? Or, just, to me, it's I mean, I'd rather do other more soulful things than just relationships. I mean, I think relationships to me are, like I just said, they're icky. I don't know.
yeah. Well, I I occasionally with practice will go down on the tarot subreddit and the people will post their cards and they'll ask these questions. Oh, is my ex gonna get back together with me? Or
Yeah, and I'm just like, come on, people. Like, how about
and
work on yourself instead of trying to get into a relationship with this person? It seems like there's issues with you personally as a person. How about work on yourself before you try and start jumping into a relationship? But that's just me.
yeah.
That's probably what I
Well,
want to say,
I
and that's
agree, but
fine.
I'm also if I were to say something is like I've never married and I never
Yeah,
really was and I was really never very successful in the relationship
correct. And
department.
I'm twice divorced, so I'm on like this is my third marriage, so I can be the same way of I'm not
Mhm.
super successful, I guess, because I
Yeah.
divorced twice. So that's
But
why
then
probably why I'm not I mean, that's probably why to me they're just so icky. I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, anyway, so that was that one. And with
Yeah.
the other thing was
Yes,
when you
Kyle. Third time's a charm.
and there's a charm. Yeah, but in caring for my mother, I have thought rethought things. Well, maybe and maybe I could be successful in a relationship someday.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
I don't think there's a time frame or a time limit or, oh, you've already reached a specific age. You're not able to do that. My best friend's dad got remarried. He just turned 96 and they've been married for like not even 10 years.
yeah.
So
That's it.
there is no time frame, Bill. I
Well,
think you can do it anytime you want to.
you can, and that's in it, but it's like
Mhm.
remember like the case the priest who confirmed me when I was going through the Rite of Christian initiation for adults when I was like what 27 was I?
Yeah.
Something like that. Well, that priest eventually left the priesthood and he got married and then with a parishioner, but he was divorced like a year later because it was just like I think I was just going on this piece of information that if you've crossed over 40 years old and you haven't had any significant relationships in your life, that the chances that you're going to be successful in one is pretty slim.
Yeah, but it's not completely not negotiable. Like, it's even if it is slim, you still have some percentage there on your side.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Because I also went to weddings with people who were getting married for the first time in their 50s.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So it was a doctor who confirmed you, Miss Tarot D. Oh, they
clinically insane.
insane. I don't know about that. That doesn't sound right. And then Renee James, you even
Tinder,
say,
Grinder, and Bumble.
well, I would say that it would be like, oh yeah, if people were like we talking, was it because I was oh that was right. Tarot questions to never ask was like, "Oh, why am I why are you still single?" or something like or that's just questions to never ask people at all. It's
Yeah.
just like,
Well, it's the
"Well, how
same
can"
thing. Like, you don't ask a lady if she's pregnant and when she's just fat.
yeah.
There's some type of little like ethics. Like, it's I don't know. You just don't do stuff like that, or
Mhm.
you don't ask age. There's all those different questions that you don't ask any of that stuff.
So Cosmic Orphan has said that, oh, there's three words: Tinder, Grinder, and Bumble. What? I don't
Those are
know.
dating apps.
Yeah, I know what they are. Yeah. Well, I can remember, times of using, getting using Craigslist as for dating.
Really?
Oh yeah, this is like almost 20 years ago. It's like you go post, and one of the one of the dates that I went on. Uh,
You need to get Cosmic on here because he's been really witty on
I
here. Never
know
have to have a wooden leg
I've
and
been
goes.
wanting Cosmic on, and I want Cosmic on, but he's like being really dodgy about things. But anyway, it'll
Uh,
happen eventually. But it would be like, okay, so is it? I've had a few um Craigslist dates. I've had some of them that went really wrong, and
I mean, I've had dates that gone really wrong too, and they were like those apps, like
yeah,
really bad. Yeah.
yeah. And so this was kind of funny. I went on this date, which is like, I think she was a lawyer or something like that. I've actually dated a couple lawyers, and so we met like it was up in Seattle, and we met at this coffee house in Ballard, it was like two, three, four neighborhoods. It was like away from where I lived, so it was like 5 miles away from where I lived, and we met at this place, and then she drove me home. We stopped out, and because I didn't have a car, and she says, "You live there?" I says, "Yeah, I live there." "You live there?" I says, "Yeah, yeah, I live there." She says, "You live there?" And she said, "And you're the manager of the place is so and so," and it says, "Yeah, yeah, that's the manager." She says, "Well, I went on a date with him last week." It's just like
No.
that was like the same thing. Craigslist. This is because I think that at that time the dating apps were like Plenty of Fish, which was I think for Christian dating,
Yeah.
and then there or something like that, or maybe I
Like,
don't know. And
why there was another one I don't remember what the name
yeah,
was.
yeah. So this is
Christian
like
Mingle was another one, and
yeah, yeah. This was like what 2008, I think.
yeah.
2007, 2008, and then the other one was like where I'd never gone on a date on Valentine's Day, which is still true today,
Oh, yeah, you don't do that.
except for this one time I wanted to go on a date on Valentine's. So I set it up on Craigslist as a personal ad, and then I got some. Oh, we met at a bar on Capitol Hill, and the Capitol Hill in Seattle is the bar district. It's also has a lot of churches too. It's got like three very large Catholic churches, a couple Orthodox churches, and then there's
Wow.
a whole bunch of storefront churches. But it's not like the county seat for where I live now. The county seat has the city town there has like more churches than any other town.
Wow.
It's got it's kind of those church towns. And but anyway, this was like bar town, and then whereas at 10 o'clock on Friday night, there was a second rush hour traffic going into the city for people just going to bars because they came from the whole around all around of the Puget Sound. And anyway, so I had this date, and then of course we just sort of ignored each other the whole time, and, then we went our separate ways. But that was it.
Wow.
My only, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I had some really bad ones too that my friends still will occasionally just send me a GIF or an emoji, and I automatically know what that means, and we just start laughing. Like, it was so bad I called my friend in Australia to because I knew she was awake, and to vent with her. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. All right. So I've had this question for a while, and it was about alien dreams. And I
Uh,
did ask it on someone
Hi,
else's
Chris.
channel, and welcome. And so, what do you Because I had these dreams from the time like I was like 21 till I was like 41 or 42. I had two different types of them. and they were all very terrible. They were nightmares and so forth. And yeah, my sister had some, yeah. Anyways,
Farmers only.
yeah, and
They're still talking different apps on here for dating.
yeah, they were like two different types. One of them was it was the face sucker from the movie that I would have that would be chasing by
Yeah,
that alien. But the other one was the gray aliens, and be up
yeah.
in a flying saucer, and then you would be in the dream. I'd be out in the yard or something. I see a light up in the sky, and then the next thing I know, I'm in that craft, and they're doing stuff to you. And so I was like thinking, was that just a dream? Did that really happen? Because you had the sleep paralysis and you had all of those kinds of things going on, or was I just having
A
a
really
panic
lucid dream or a panic attack or
attack in the sleep? And that was going on for like from age of 21 to like 42, 43. I
what
still
was
have the
your instant reaction? I mean, what was your instant thought? That it was real or that it was lucid or that it was a panic
I
attack or
I don't know. I thought maybe it was just
because that sounds pretty darn real to me. I mean, I've had some of those intense dreams that felt like when I woke up, they felt really weird. And then like the one, my husband's like, "Why were you speaking in a Latin language?" I'm like, "I don't know Latin."
Mhm.
He goes, "You were
Yeah.
clearly speaking Latin." So I thought it
Mhm.
was a dream, but I was speaking a different language. And then I did an intense meditation and I regressed myself. And I was in that dream, I was a Knights Templar. And I was
Huh.
speaking in Latin. My husband, since he's a Freemason, he knows Latin. And he's like, "Okay,
Mhm.
Selena, since when did you know Latin?" I'm like, "I don't." He goes, "You were clearly
Mhm.
speaking it last night." And that was
Wow.
when I had that intense dream of me being a Knights Templar. And then I did a regression and it came up in my regression that it was a real life event.
Hmm.
Have you ever done regression, Bill?
I have not. I guess it's one of those things before we went live, I was talking about me when I'm having tarot readings or whatnot, not wanting to know about tomorrow. Well, I also
Mhm.
don't know about
The
way
past?
the past as well. I'm kind of curious. I mean, like in I've kind of sensed the reincarnation since I was a little boy.
Mhm.
Then when I heard the word for the first time, I think I was in astronomy camp, and I was like someplace between. It was before high school and after. I think I was like in the seventh grade,
Mhm.
and I heard the word, and I thought, oh yeah, that word just resonated with me, and it was just like that was yes, I knew that, and then um, but as far as I think in this life, I am more supposed to think about what's going on right now rather than to think about what went on in the past or what's gonna happen in the future, and just to be more of a rooted in the now kind of a thing
Yeah, I mean, and that's a good way to feel and to think about it. If you want to be rooted in the now and not think about the past or the future. For me, though, in my practice with my magic workings and all of that stuff, to me, I feel like it's helping me on at this life right now, understanding my past life because in those past lives, I've done all of these things and I
Mhm.
want to remember who I was because I want to be able to bring all of those past life experiences into this now.
Yeah.
Like the remembrance of working with herbs, working with magic, working with, I was a high priestess many times, doing all of that stuff. I want to be able to bring that into the now. Even though I'm solitary, I've never been in a coven and I'm not sure, like, I'm not going to completely say no to it being in a coven at this moment, though. I don't have time to do any of that stuff.
Mhm.
And there's nobody around me in this area that's close enough, except for one person, two people. And they're like, 40 minutes away and 2 hours away.
So, Tarot and Oracle for the Soul asks, were you? and your current husband Knight Templars together?
So I haven't regressed that yet, but I have the really strong feeling that yes, we were there together because him and I actually had that conversation before. So I remember there's two of us or two past lives that I clearly remember us being in together.
Mhm,
One was when I was hung for being a witch around the Salem witch trials, and I
mhm,
did pass through Salem. And about 100 years prior, him and I, we were in Ireland together, and we were married, and we had 3 kids together.
mm,
So,
mm.
but I really, I mean, I feel like we were like Knights Templar together because he's a Freemason now, and um, he's afraid of looking at past life regression stuff. I've asked him like, "Do you want me to regress you?" And he's like, "No." He's like, I don't want to know." He's like you, Bill. He doesn't want to know because it and usually when there is a past life regression, you have such an intense um like a big hobby with a specific item, or like if you're really big into art, really big into poetry, really big into my husband is a he loves history. He loves the World War II. He loves um like the Civil War. He's really big on all the wars.
Mhm.
And to him it feels like he has been in all of those. And I mean, he's a Marine now. He hasn't been in since a long time ago, but he was also a Marine, and he's always been in some kind of war.
Yeah,
So he doesn't want to remember those those times.
because you still get some post traumatic stress because it's like why how many
Yeah.
veterans do you know that actually talk about their experience in the war, and
Yeah. Yep. So I
yeah.
don't so he's like, I don't want to do that because of what he survived in
Mhm,
this life and possibly his previous lives.
mhm. Well, and especially when you think of the really past times of how much more horrific those wars were because
They
it was
were
up
they were like face to face contact. They're not like they are
Mhm.
now. But
in
then they were
being
like Battle of the Bulge and all of that stuff.
yeah,
They were hand to hand.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, because I was like thinking of terms of after dad died, my mother was seeing this a guy for a short time, and he was a career military, and but I was also he was career military in intelligence, and I'm not going to say any more than that, but because like when mother would talk on the telephone, there would be like weird clicks and stuff, and even though he was retired, and then there was like this one time they were out on a drive and he got stopped by a cop for going 40 in a school zone because in this town it was very easy to miss the school zone. Well, anyway, so the cop asked him for his ID. He shows his ID. They go back and then she says, "Can I see that other ID you have?" And he says, "What ID?" And then because and she just presses. He said, "Well, when I tried to pull up your name, it was all gobbledygook. I couldn't pull up
Oh,
your it was nothing." And then so he pulls his other ID out. He says, "Thank you. I've heard about these IDs, but I've never seen one before." And so
what was that about?
he was a spy. He was a yeah,
Oh,
yeah, and
that's so cool.
he made his living. Well, he made his living as he was he made his living. Um, as
Oh, they're ganging up on Miss Tarot D. Shame on you guys.
a sniper. And so he was. It was, I don't really want to say more of that, but that was what he passed from in 2016.
Hmm.
And it was just really fast. But anyways, I don't really want to
Wow.
talk about that too much. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Having a lot of fun here in the chat. These boys are all ganging up on Miss Tarot D from what I'm hearing. She said, "Help me,
yeah.
the boys are ganging up on me." She said, "Never thought I would
Yeah.
complain about that."
Well, if I go back asking a bit of a question because both she and I have migraines, and do you think maybe like some of these ultra realistic dreams might have you have migraines, don't you?
Yep. I mean,
That
they're
there,
better now, but yeah, I mean, I do have them.
that there's like a correlation there between because I mean I see like blue lights
Mhm.
and stuff and a
Yeah, I mean,
correlation.
I think that there could be. It could be your you know how you talked about the tinnitus, the ringing in the ear in the other life? Um, I think it's learning to maybe you're overstimulated and you're having to learn to shut that stuff down because you are being, getting too much information and you're not protecting yourself or telling your guides, "Hey, I need a break." Like you can do all that stuff. You can say that you don't want to receive messages right now, you're having a migraine, whatever. I mean, I think you can do
Yeah,
that.
I,
There's
I I
nothing
do
wrong in asking for a
I do that
download
because
break.
I do oftentimes visits from people after they've passed away. When they between the time that they pass away and then they're going on and they've had the funeral. Like so, for instance, my sister
Mhm.
will there was a friend. It was a he was I don't know he was a veteran who passed tragically recently,
Yeah.
and well um he showed up. He showed up, and but then I asked, and he's actually showed up twice. The first time he showed up, and I think I was doing the flip through on this thing. I was
Mhm.
filming on this one, and during in the raw footage that I have, or when I was listening to it, I heard a voice superimposed on top of mine, and it's still recorded on there. And so this is like one of those videos that I'm not going to delete, and I'm trying to make sure that
Yeah,
I
that's so
remember
cool.
that because it's like a segment of it, and that was just weird, and
Mhm.
then I had like weird sense of being there, but I was doing this work. I was doing this work, and I was saying, "Look, I don't have time to entertain somebody. Can you please go away? And if you want to, but you can come back. If you want to come
Yeah.
back at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Come
Yeah.
back mowing the lawn." Visit me then. Please don't visit me at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's what I kind of feel about
Yeah,
this.
and you can do that. You can set up those restrictions of,
Mhm.
um, not to be bothered in the middle of the night. You can also say, "I don't wanna physically see you. I wanna know that you're around, but I don't wanna physically, like, see you right in front of me." You can put those restrictions on. I don't
Yeah,
have any restrictions on. I wanna be able to see and hear and feel and taste whenever it happens, but that's just me because 'cause I'm weird.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then like I think there was like one time I felt like somebody was actually jumping on my bed
Yeah. I mean, I had a ghost come out of you. He was using my bathroom.
using your bathroom.
He was
Yeah.
using, yeah, he came out of my bathroom and I'm like, I'm
Mm.
sitting here and I look over and someone's coming out of my bathroom and I'm like, what the hell is he doing coming out of my bathroom? Like I've seen, physically saw the apparition and he's coming through and I'm like, the hell are you doing coming out of my bathroom?
Yeah.
When I perform necromantic divination, I get ringing in my right ear if its angry spirit or intentions are not so pure.
Yeah. Most of
It,
the time, this is the ear that is ringing all the time. But I also like I have something. I do have. I've lost the high range. I have.
Mhm.
I lost the high range.
Yeah.
Uh, I when I was a young man and working working at my father's mill, and oftentimes I didn't wear ear protection.
Mhm.
And or I would go, or if I was like when I was playing electric guitar, sitting in front of an amplifier,
Yeah.
and I know that and then the last few times that I'd gone to concerts, they weren't, I did wear ear protections, but there were times when I didn't, and so I know that, I've lost, and
Mhm.
actually they've said that in a in a test that I had that I have
Yeah,
lost.
no, I mean that's totally valid to try and differentiate if it is tinnitus or if it is a spirit trying to get your attention to talk to you.
Hmm.
So if you think you have, I mean, if you already have hearing loss, that might be harder to do, but I think working on that muscle of being able to talk to them or ask them to give you Yeah, everyone's talking about ghost poop because I talked about the ghost coming out of my bathroom.
Yeah, yeah, I saw
You
that.
can blame Cosmic for that. He's the one that said, "So is that where ghost poop comes from?"
Yeah, is that ghost poop? A
A small sheet.
small sheet? Yeah, that's funny. Yeah,
So
so, yeah.
yeah, or like tell your guides that you don't want to hear it in that format. Tell them how you want to be told information so that you can better understand. And there's nothing wrong with that. They'll definitely listen to what your suggestions are and will help you with that to get messages.
Yeah.
Just talk to them, ask them, and or just tell them, hey, can you send me messages this way instead of the ringing in the ears because I have already issues with my hearing. Can you
Well,
give me different?
there's also that when you're in a migraine, it
Yeah.
could be just your migraine symptoms. Because I can remember that being a kid, and because I didn't start getting the headache, the headache pain until I was like 38 or
Oh
40 years.
wow.
But I've had like the blue lights, the blue
Hmm.
flashing lights. I've had
The auras, is that what you're talking about with the migraines?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and different things like that since I was like a kid, and yeah. But when you're talking about like going back to things that like those obsessions, because there was like an experience that I had when I was in Israel, and I had a hard time describing. I still don't can't describe, but it was like going into it. I was like going into a different realm, and maybe the whole world was buzzing or something like
I
that.
was just thinking you were going to say that because with the history of that place and the energy there, I think it's so easy to walk in and out, and just the way that the buildings look and everything like that. They look like pretty much the same that they did back then. I feel like it's very easy to jump in and out of different time periods, frames. I was
Yeah,
just thinking you were going to say that.
yeah, and but then I
Yeah.
was like, I would have that experience when I used to watch that show, In Search Of. And every time that show In Search Of, and they went to places like Tibet, and they
Yeah.
went to like Pakistan's and all the stands and all that stuff. And so
Yeah.
that's
So
really
like
one
the
of the
old world. Yeah, they all went into the old world.
I'm so attracted to this kind of art,
Like the Byzantine art.
that kind of stuff. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it all just reminds me, or just it's comforting. To me, it's very comforting, and not necessarily are the the theology around it, but the whole images of it.
Yeah.
You know,
So to
so
me,
it's like
when I went to England and Scotland last year, to me that place, especially Scotland, was very liminal space for me. And it felt
yeah.
Bill was a pope in a past life. I mean, that's not too far fetched, Cosmic.
Well, I'm just gonna segue in to a. I'm sorry, I'm dominating the conversation,
No,
but
you're
uh,
you're fine. It's going well.
when I was in my late 20s and early 30s, and I would have a. And this was when I was going to graduate school for theology,
Hmm.
and I would have dinner parties over at my house, and they'd have all these people, and a lot of different peoples, and some were they were all interested in the same things, and one of the persons I had come over was he hadn't been quite ordained as a priest yet, but he was in the process in the
Hmm.
process. But he had gone to seminary at in Vatican City, and so I
Oh.
had him over. He was just a young guy, and
Hmm.
I asked him, "So do you have Pope dreams?"
I mean, what kind of pope dreams?
I mean, Pope dreams, and he says, "No, I don't. Sorry, Bill. I don't dream about becoming Pope. I just want to be a priest." And that's all he said was,
Wow.
"Yeah,
So you,
yeah."
I mean, that's like our new pope now, who's from Chicago. He probably never would have thought that an American would have been a pope.
Well, maybe, but how much money do they pay? how much pay off, you know? I mean, like, that was my first thought was like, "Oh, did
Really? That's a really cool thought to have because I didn't think about that.
like a bunch of dark money get flooded into the Vatican, so they try to
Because they
get."
said they were never gonna I think they probably said many times there wasn't gonna be an American pope.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess I hope the guy is actually kind of a progressive because of course, my own thoughts as I feel like, well, anyway, I don't- I read an article years ago that
Oh,
predicted,
hi, Ange. Ange just got in the chat.
yeah, oh, and she's because she's got her, yeah, new job and so forth, and but
Mhm.
anyway, it was the whole sense that the Christian church as we know it is in the process of changing. And if it doesn't change, it's not going to survive this century.
Oh, I believe it.
It's that, and we have all these battles that were going on in our society about trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube. And then, how can you put the toothpaste back in the tube? Now, not this is not a political talk, but it's just a talk. And so, like, I would like thinking about I've been thinking about this, and this is not related to spiritual stuff at all. It's just related to when you talk to your neighbors, and they have yet young men, and they have those fantasies about being the man who is self-sufficient, who can take care of his family, who lives off the land and so forth.
Mhm.
And so it's that dream, and it's sitting all in the preamble of the project 2025. It was all there about personal responsibility and the need for
Yeah.
personal responsibility. And then I mean then and I had talked to like people who were in their 30s, and they're working, and they're thinking, oh, I just don't want to, blah 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 this and blah blah. And I think, well, but I was thinking, wait a minute now, that in the golden age of what our president, I'm not going to mention his name because I don't mention his name when I do talk about him. I call him the Antichrist, but but nevertheless, we're not talking politics.
No.
And that they have that there's like this the myth. To me, I think see it is a fantasy, a story, because we all need somebody to survive. We
Oh, yeah, totally.
because there's how many, because like if we think in the 1800s, how many people even today can take care of all of their food and everything and all out of the land? How many people do that?
I'm sure that percentage is very, very, very small.
Exactly. Very, very, very small. And so but there's this
Mhm.
story that people believe, and it's a part they believe, and they want it to be true, that
Yeah.
I am an island into myself, and I can take care of my family and do everything. And then, of course, when I do talk to people who talk like that, it's always, like 2 hours later, they think, well, what happens if you get into an accident on that job of yours
Mhm.
and you end up being disabled?
Yeah, there's a lot of ifs that could happen.
Yeah. Anyway, I didn't mean to go there, but
No, you're fine.
that's that. So now, what did you like to ask any questions or talk about anything or?
Yep, I'm here with you, Bill. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
All right. Well, then there was the other thing I wanted to talk about, and because you talked about other universes on
Mhm.
in and
Yeah, in orbit with, which is funny. That's the name of the title, and it's in orbit. But we talked about other universes. Yeah, the
Mhm.
Pope doesn't apologize, Bill.
So what does so what were your thoughts about all
Well,
of that?
totally. There's definitely, um, like I know Ramon asked me about if there were different versions of you in different universes,
Mhm.
and if you could have. some kind of connection to them? And I'm going to totally say yes, you can, because even though it's not completely your full, I guess I'm going to call it essence, it's not your full essence. I feel like there's parts of it that are still connected to the other person, and that's how you are connected. And it's there's things that they're saying, there's talk that, well, maybe that's where you are getting your past lives from, because you are having these past life moments, but I mean, time is irrelevant, really. There is no
Mhm.
such thing as time if you're looking at the heavens. If you're, there's no such thing as time. We're the ones that created time. As
Yeah.
humans created time, you know,
Mhm.
instead of looking at the cycles of the moon and the sun and figuring out that's the timing. But even then, I don't feel like there is a time when you're talking about different universes, different altered states in that area. I think it's all relevant.
Mhm.
It's all science.
Well, because it could very well everything could be happening all at the same time,
Correct.
and yeah. Or it could be
So
that
like
we
these
all.
past lives that I've had, to me, they totally feel and they see and they look completely true. Like I've in all of these past lives that I've had, I've tasted what the air tasted like, and the air tastes different. I mean, I'm not sure if you can if other people can understand that, but there's a different taste in the air. There's a different smell in the air, stuff that I've never smelled or tasted before. I can do that in these past life, I guess I'm going to say visions that I've had, not only just visions, but going into that deep regression, I was able to see and smell and taste all my surroundings
Mhm.
and hear it. Like I could hear the mob. I could taste the blood. I could smell like it was in the countryside. Like you can smell that stuff. And it's
Uh,
extremely real. It's no different than walking outside and smelling the smells from outside. How real it was for me. So to
mhm.
me, those past life moments were 100% valid, 100% real. But they could have been, you know, an altered state of mind, altered universe. And again, there's that time thing that it's not really, there's no such thing as time when you're doing all of that stuff. It's just, it could still have been all connected.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really cool concept too.
I've
It's really
tried.
fascinating to think of it in that much more of detail and depth, because
Mhm.
you can really go down this huge rabbit hole when you're thinking about all that stuff and, trying to
Yeah.
decipher everything. Like I've had some crazy past life experiences, you know, but they were really cool. And I gradually accept them all and I'll use them all for my life, for my current life and what it is that I want to accomplish in this life.
Mhm. Yeah, so, like, I had kind of had that thought when I was younger because I had the bulk of my spiritual, or those what do we call it, transpersonal experience after I came home from Israel.
Mhm.
A few before, and not too much as I get
Yeah.
older, but, I did recently have one of those telephone line kind of experiences, and
Oh,
just
like
recently,
explain
just
that, Bill.
just this week, actually. And, but it was like I was going maybe it was I was just talking a bit, took mom to a doctor appointment,
Mhm.
and her doctor likes to talk to me, and so this time I got because and he's been a little bit extra long time, and he actually wanted to stay longer, but but I mentioned that I was running 2 channels. My mother doesn't know any of this, she kinda does, but that doesn't, it does,
Yeah.
and and then it was like after that, it was like all that kind of like activated things, and it was like you kinda know things, or what when I was like,
Mhm.
going and giving people unsolicited advice on on Reddit.
Yeah.
That would be that, but it was like pertaining to their question, not not really, not I wasn't doing third party readings. I would
Yeah.
they laid their cards out, and I was kind of giving an alternative perspective, like
Hmm.
maybe
So I
maybe
like doing that when, like, say, like when Ange was doing her lives and Heather and they're all doing their lives and a person in the chat's asking a question. I like to respond
Hey, Cosmic,
intuitively.
you just kind of hid my sister there. Can you try to unhide her there? I don't think she was trying to sell things here.
Oh, cosmic.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. Sorry. So, and if you're still there, if you're still, don't be acting like, because my sister does sell which I don't know what she was talking about, but
You're talking about what does the Bible say about time?
she was talking about what the Bible says about time. I'm not so sure. I don't really remember. I don't. It doesn't. I think it's. I don't think the Bible says anything about time per se. It is, but you can do
Oh,
see.
it was the insurance quote that triggered him.
Well, anyways, yeah. The I don't. If I were to go there, I would have to say I don't think that time is linear, especially in the Old Testament, and I don't think it's linear at all. It's just that you're taking an oral history and you put it
Hmm.
in print, and it is and they put it in a or in a linear sense, but I don't think it's linear at all. I think that, for
Yeah.
instance, I think that the Tower of Babel, Sodom and Gomorrah,
Hmm.
and the flood story are all about the same event. And I think there's another one in there. There's another one in there too, but I think it's all about the same event, which is like my feeling on this is this is from any studies and going those rabbit holes that I late night rabbit holes is, but that 12,000 years ago, roughly, a a uh, a meteorite or an asteroid slammed into an ice sheet in Greenland, and they think that there's they think that there is a under one of those ice sheets there that there is evidence that there could be a impact crater zone,
Hmm.
and so that this um, meteor slams into the and
Hmm.
so there was a the Atlantean civilization that
Hmm.
existed at that time on the Americas or off the and so but maybe it wasn't that advanced, maybe it was just seagoing sails and things like that, and then you have the pyramids because you have all these
Yeah.
pyramids all
All
the
over the
globe.
world that are very, very, very similar.
Yeah, and so then you have and so you have that stuff going on, and so then you have the volcanism that happened, and you have the floods that happened.
Hmm.
So then you also with the Tower of Babel, it's that story being that this was a global this big civilization. They all came together in this one place, and so all of these, but it has it as that these are different events that happened at different times, and then so I think they're talking about the same thing, and so you have a creation that happened out of that,
Yeah, I
and
agree.
a creation that came out of that, and so you have all this stuff that's having gone on, and yeah, and so that's how I've come to interpret it, and then
Hmm.
I've always like I've I never looked at the Book of Revelations
Yeah.
because I just didn't think it applied to us. But then recently, I kind of look at, well, what if it has any relevance? I think it it's just about like the fool's journey of the tarot that it
Oh,
has
yeah.
all about it's all about the individual and how you in your spiritual progression. And then so if you were to teach it as spiritual knowledge, then introducing it to children is terrible because it
Oh,
scares
totally. I mean, I
it,
had to go to Bible study. I had to go to all of that for my communion, confirmation. But ask me how many times have I actually really picked up a Bible and read it being Catholic?
no. And the thing is the thing about not just the Catholic Church, but a lot of churches,
Hmm.
they are not. The Catholic Church is only transmitting the knowledge. It isn't taking a look at that knowledge and then unpacking it like the Eucharist being this
Hmm.
point in time that you come together and you have a union experience. That
Yeah.
this is a union experience, and that, or you take the that um that the Jesus is a human, but the Jesus experience being for everyone, but not just for a special one. And anyways,
Hey, John.
yeah, welcome, John. So I think John was in. Yeah, that's right. John was in that other one, and we're talking about. And he wanted to come to the dog's house for dinner because my I cooked the dog hamburger for
Oh, yeah,
dinner.
yeah. Yeah. That's that's Fatima's
Yeah.
husband.
Yeah. Anyways, that was kind of. I guess when I talked about Bible time, I think it's also it doesn't talk about it being linear. I don't think time's linear. I don't know. It may be, but you know, here's something because we're talking about other universes, and I was talking about that experience of you said it called it reverse deja vu, but it's like
Hmm.
you wake up, and I've had this experience. I wake up and everything seems brand new and
Hmm.
not. And is that like maybe I just zipped into another universe or another
Or your consciousness changed.
change?
You elevated from a different dimension. I think there's elevation that probably happened, and you probably are seeing things differently now because of that.
Mhm.
You've elevated yourself. It's like, I mean, I made this analogy with Ramon's channel on. It's like when the Mario Brothers, you're going through. You have to pass that game in order to elevate to the next one, and then you get more powers. Like you get bigger, you faster, you get you're able to use more of those mushrooms. Like you can, or you can fly. I think it's the same thing when you just said that. What came to
Mhm.
me automatically was you just elevated.
Oh,
What
okay.
I heard you elevated.
I elevated, which is probably true because it was
So
I
that's why
had.
you're seeing things differently. You're feeling differently because of you elevated.
Mhm. Well, yeah, I know that because there's like you're in working on trying mm, I guess to manifest this new career
Hmm.
that I'm working on right now
Yeah, so
with.
you really are working on your spirituality, and the more you work on it, like again, it's a muscle that you have to continuously work on. It's going to
Yeah.
get stronger, it's going to get better, you're going to be able to learn to get messages faster, and then that's when you start elevating. That's when you start growing, evolving. I feel like
Mhm.
that's, yeah, like my friend said, spiritual growth. So
Yeah.
that's why to you when you woke up that next day, you everything looked different to you.
Mhm. It didn't necessarily look different. It was just like I grabbing the doorknob and thinking, it almost felt like this was the first time I've seen this doorknob,
Yeah.
but then it's been here for forever. And because it was that whole thing of why is this, did I call this show the 999 shows? Because I started seeing
Mhm.
angels, like what,
Yeah,
and,
so again, when you start seeing that, you're more aware of, what's happening spiritually around you, you know?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
you become more aware of your surroundings, and you're noticing those little things that are either considered magic, or are considered spiritual, or are considered, um, that's just you you start to look at things differently.
Mhm.
I think it's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, there's like the numerology kinds of things. We're taking the numbers, and because there's like some of those days that was like just after I started, I picked up the tarot. Just up the after I
Mhm.
picked it, I was still on my I and I was recording the numbers I had throughout the day, or then I would like draw like three or four cards, and those numbers, and I add those numbers up, and it would be the same
It's just
summation of all
numbers.
these other
Yeah.
numbers. All
Isn't that
these numbers.
cool how that happens? Like, to me,
Yeah,
it's just like little, I don't know, like little hoodwinks that happen from
yeah,
your guides or whomever you believe in, that are just saying, "Hey, we're here, we're with you. These are the signs that we're with you."
yeah. And then I mean, I know this probably seems kind of
It's from
disjointed.
Sephora, Miss Tarot D.
What was that? She was
Asking what shade of red I'm wearing. It's from Sephora.
oh, okay.
Thank you,
Because
Miss Tarot D.
I know this is going to sound like I'm just jumping around a bit, but there was something that when I was because I listened to both of those when you were talking about tarot spreads and so
Mhm.
forth, rearranging the all the definitions or whatever you're feeling about that, or maybe even rearranging the cards. But there was something that I had just recently started doing was taking a dice and just run roll, and then taking a couple dice and pulling out a number, and then boiling it down to a 1 through 10 number,
Mhm.
1 through 9, and then going through through my tarot deck and pulling out every single card that meant that number, and then laying those things down as like, oh,
Oh,
this
that's
is
neat.
my tarot spread for myself. So the
Yeah, I like that. That's
last
a
one
concept to have.
was like the number 6. So everything that meant love. So you'd have like the 3 of cups, and you'd
So
have
like
the
it gave you like a full story, right? By doing that. I feel like that's, or gave you a more in-depth definition as to what it was that you were looking at. That's really cool. I like that, Bill. I love the
yeah,
way your brain works like that, because I would have never thought of something like that.
yeah. And so then I'm or I probably would do it going into my missile and doing the whole page, this,
Mhm.
and then taking a number, and then because you boil the page number down to a number, then you just go pull out, well, everything that means number 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
And so yeah, Prince cleared, yeah, about the times and so forth, and a
Like
lot of
the
that was
rarest past life I've been able to regress to.
mm, yeah, yeah, that's interesting. But I think that's kind of then it's also you're looking at, you can do it this way, rather than feel like you have to stay with completely with the random.
Mhm.
So the insurance comment was different because different times, and yeah, well, hmm, yeah, I don't. She's not selling insurance, so just make sure she's.
So Miss Tarot D, the rarest one was, I was a nun, but I had some spiritual qualities to myself. This was in Mexico. Um, I came from a wealthy family. It was when they were trying to, I was Spanish. They were conquering Mexico and trying to, it was the, I'm having a
Hmm.
brain fart with the word. Someone help me out with this wording on when they were trying to convert everyone, all of the natives, into like Christianity, Catholicism, stuff like that. What's
Well, that was conversion was the word for it, but if I
But it was
remember,
in Mexico. It was happening in Mexico. I
you
can't
mean
think of the darn word, but I was a nun in that past life.
colonization?
Yeah, it was during the colonization when all the Spaniards came down, and Good night, Sarah.
Good night. Good night.
So yeah, yeah, there it is. The Inquisition. Thank you.
Fishing.
Thank you, Heather. It was during the Inquisition, and I was a nun in that past life. I came from a wealthy family, but because I had spiritual abilities in that time frame, my family was not happy that I had these qualities in me or these abilities, so they put me into the church to fix me. So I became a nun so that my family wouldn't have to deal with me not being a nun and having these abilities and then eventually being hung because I was a nun. I mean, I did live a full life as a
Mhm.
nun during that time, and I died, what was I, probably like in my 70s, which was pretty late back then. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, that was probably one of the oddest ones that I had was a nun in Mexico and during the Inquisition.
Well, lots of people live long lives if there was no reason why a person couldn't live to be 100 years old.
Well, I
In a,
was like, I mean, I was tending to the locals who were sick and I never got sick.
I see.
I was tending to their wounds that they had, their
Mm.
infections, because that's when
Black flag.
disease, correct, all of that was brought down to
Yeah.
Mexico and by the Europeans, and I never got sick. And so people at the end of my lifetime there were already starting to question, why is it that she's not getting sick? She can
Yeah.
touch them, she can take care of them, she can heal them, and she's not getting sick.
Hmm.
So that was like the oddest one, was being a nun. So that's a good question, Miss Tarot D.
Yeah. Hmm. That kind of reminds me because because a lot of those mystics they knew they knew the knowledge.
Hmm.
They knew that the knowledge that it's that we're supposed to be what Jesus taught,
Hmm.
not not to quote what Jesus said, to be. It's
Yeah.
to be. That's the language. The language that is become and be, and those are words that the church does not teach. It teaches imitation because it doesn't
Mhm.
want it goes into this other realm of be. They are feeling as though that maybe people will become megalomaniacs or something like that.
Hmm.
I don't really know why. I don't know why they use the imitation language. Imitate, but they don't
Yeah.
want to use the language of be. And so you get into trouble when you start using the be language. And so
Interesting. Yeah.
there was a book by a guy named Aslan Reslin. He was and it was like the God of Human History. It's a wonderful book. And where how they um um and in it, and he was talking about he was talking about a Sufi who goes out in the desert, and through years of meditation and so forth, he
Mhm.
comes out, says, I am God. And that was what the revelation was to him, that this is. But then of course when we think that, then we when people start saying those kind of things, you want to lock them up into insane asylums and stuff
Well,
like.
isn't that like the Buddhists who they reincarnate into I guess, is it the Buddha, a new Buddha?
Yeah.
Isn't that the same thing that happens there? I mean, they all reincarnate. They're essentially the same person, just reincarnating.
Yeah, actually, it's more like what it is. It's not that. It's that I'm gonna relay the story as I heard it on Joseph Campbell's "The Power of Myth" 30 years ago
Yeah.
or
Miss
20
Tarot
years.
D asked if I've ever been a male in a past life, and yes, that's the Freemason life or the
Mm,
Knight Templar.
I see.
Yeah. So I was, but I don't remember any other male lives. Those are the only ones that I remember. But I think, I mean, I'm sure I've had more. They just haven't been relevant to them exposing themselves now. I think
Mhm.
your guides will expose the past lives that need to be exposed for you for your growth in this life.
I see. Yeah. And so here's the story. The Brahma creates the universe. He creates the world and he creates everything in it, the flowers and this and blah blah, this and
Hmm.
that. And then the Brahma wakes up one day and says, I am that flower. I am that tree. I
Hmm.
am that river. I am the sky. I am that rock. I am this animal.
I mean, I guess if you create it, why not, right?
I am yes, and I am that person.
Yeah.
And so when that mystic comes out of the desert and says, I am God, he is saying it in the respect of the creator coming through and saying, I am this person. And that is that experience. That's the Jesus experience.
Hmm.
That's the Jesus experience is that I think that everybody is supposed to have,
Yeah, I agree
you
with you.
know. And so that's kind of what where that is, and that's the blasphemy that I speak.
No, I don't think it's blasphemy. I think it's totally relevant to have all of those conversations and questions, and the fact that you do question what it is that was taught,
Mhm.
and question what you believe. I mean, I think it's always a good thing to really question yourself and go in deeper into trying to understand it. So yeah, I think it's completely valid, and I think we should do that more often.
Yeah. But then if you were in the past like that and you said that that would be
Oh,
very
totally. Yeah.
burnt
Because
at
they
the
had
stake.
different mindsets back then. They different comprehensions on things. I think we've
Yeah.
definitely evolved and continue to evolve as the next generations come along, and um what even now what we think now, it's not going to be the same in 100 years.
Mhm. Exactly.
So it's gonna
And
change.
that mentions about Joseph Campbell, and it's been a while, but so you can watch all of his Power of Myth thing on YouTube. It all exists on YouTube, and you can go back into it. And because Campbell talks about that necessity to enter into the myth and become the myth. He didn't,
Yeah,
he didn't
and then I feel like even now there's so much more growth in the divine feminine, the masculine feminine, the evolving, the spirituality. It's because I think the world needs it right now.
Mhm.
It needs our outlook on life, our outlook on the most mundane things, to be able to help us evolve, to be able to help us, I don't know, essentially heal the world, the earth. I
Yeah.
think all of us that are coming through and are getting all of these messages and are leaning more towards the spiritual side, I think it's needed to help us all heal, to help this world heal from what we've been living.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a lot more, I mean, yeah, stuff, this information what has been around, but it's getting like it's more and more compared to 30 years ago to 40 years ago. It's a lot more out there, where before
Mhm.
it was a lot more hidden. A lot of people did not talk about it. So, like Heather said, that balance is needed between the masculine and the feminine.
Mhm.
And a lot of people are evolving and being called to evolve.
Yeah. 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 The
Yeah.
next piece is going to be a female.
Hmm?
Not the next one. The next one after the next one. The next pope after the next one will be a female because someone's going to change things along the way and allow women to become priests.
I don't know.
And
This guy's 69 years old, so he's pretty darn young.
yeah, but you never know. One never
No.
knows.
True. Very true. The
Anyway.
possibilities of anything. I mean, anything could happen.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't suppose you were you weren't a Star Trek fan, were you?
No, I wasn't. I mean,
Yeah.
I watched
Anyway,
it.
so
I wasn't a fan, but I watched it.
you watched it, a lot of it?
Yeah, I was more into Star Wars. I love Star Wars.
Yeah. I like Star Wars too. Yeah. Yeah, there was like this. I mean, this. I know it seems like I'm just jumping all over the
No,
place.
you're fine.
Okay, this is an idea that, and you know, this is an idea that I haven't really heard anybody else um, come up with it, but in thinking of this realm as a playground for a higher civilization.
Yeah, totally.
So like so you come and
Mhm.
you come into your life here and you come from a spaceport. And so you're so this is like a maybe in a civilization that's so advanced that it can make whole universes and so forth, because you know there's a and
So what's
and
that light that everybody talks about when you're passing away and you're going into the light? What's, you know, it could be the light of going into a different tunnel, a different universe. It
are
could
going back
be
to
the light of when you're being born and you're coming out of the womb and that's the light you're seeing. I mean, there's so many different theories on when you're dying and you're going into the light as well as when you are being born and coming out of the light. So
Mhm.
I think that can be the same thing.
So what did Clint say about
It could be coming into different, you know, different portals, different, you know,
yeah.
the thought of that is just there's a
Well,
million things that you can think about with that.
'cause in the way I kind of say that, because this reminded me of a dream that I had when I was living in the fraternity house, and I had like one, and where I was like
Good night, Mr. OD. Thanks for staying up for us.
I was like swirling around the earth, and there was all kinds of people. There were all these different colors and things, like the ring. There was a ring around the earth. Next thing I know, I wake up. I
Were
wake
you
up.
astral
and
traveling?
Maybe that's what I was doing. Was that what that is?
That's what it sounds like to me.
Okay, well then that's what I was doing, because I think that you had talked about astral traveling the other
Yeah,
day,
and I think that's what you were. It sounds like that's
and
what you were doing, astral traveling.
in my dreams, and I had like a dream where I had like the sleep paralysis and
Yeah,
everything,
that's what it sounds like, astral
and
traveling.
I do remember it. I could remember seeing what was on the TV at the same time, and next thing I
Yeah,
know, I'm walking around the house and I'm opening up doors, but I'm not. I can't really open the doors because
it's not
I'm
your body. It's like
you're there.
your
It's like
essence.
the doorknob, and then I opened up, and I went through a door, and then there was someone there from an earlier time in their life. So I saw my mother in there, but she was like 20 years younger or something like that. So maybe I traveled into the past
Like
for a moment.
time jumping.
Yeah,
Oh, that's really cool. I like
yeah.
that.
Hmm.
See, I mean, I have a heart. I mean, I unintentionally astral travel. I need to learn. I actually just bought a book to help me with that. It just came in the mail a couple days ago, but I haven't opened it yet. It's called Ambrosia's Book of Witch Flight: Traveling the Other World.
Hmm. So
And
then,
I want to learn to be able to control it when I'm actually traveling. I want to be able to intentionally do the traveling.
hmm.
There's some interesting images in here.
So maybe those techniques are like the same as like for lucid dreaming and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, so people literally, let's see,
Oh,
messages
do you
will.
have that one, Yavita? That book?
Hmm. Oh, so yes, she does like that book. Yeah.
Hmm.
So what about bilocation? Have you?
No, I've never heard of bilocation. What's that?
It's like being in two places at the same time.
Oh, okay. I think that's a possibility. I mean, I talked about being. I mean, we touched on that on Ramon's channel with being connected to the other person in a different time frame.
Yeah, because there was like this experience I had when I was in Seattle, and with this lady that I was really super attracted to, but I couldn't talk to her because whenever I got close to her, everything short circuited. My energy started shaking. I was like
Yeah.
shaking, and but then so this one time, and it was like a couple different times, I had an experience where I was like at a restaurant eating, and the next thing I know, she was sitting in the chair right in front of me, and then she was gone. And then seeing
Huh.
her in my world, and I'm thinking, is that's like um maybe that's
Yeah,
like by location. You are maybe the person was, I don't know. I know, but there nothing ever
that's really
happened.
cool. I like that, Bill. I think that sounds. What does that sound like to me?
Entanglement and stuff like
Entanglement. Maybe like, is it like quantum jumping? Were you doing
quantum.
quantum physics
Well, I wasn't jumping. I was like, this
or like
was
the Matrix or something? That sounds really cool.
maybe, but this, I was there, but I did have a really bad crush on this person. I mean, um, I tried, I tried to, I tried, but I couldn't, I didn't get anywhere because it was just too, it was too much. The energies were so, it was overloading me or whatever. I don't know if that makes any sense. And
Hmm.
the
It's
stuff that
very yeah, it sounds very what's cosmic saying? Sounds
it
like
sounds,
quantum entanglement.
and my sister said something about
Yeah.
sleep paralysis, but I wasn't
And then
asleep.
my friend said she sounds about right. I can't think of another word. Yeah. That's what it you were definitely in some type of a quantum
Quantum reality.
alternate. Yeah.
Or
That's really cool, Bill.
maybe it was like somebody who I probably had
String
a
theory, the red string theory, cosmic. I totally agree with the red string theory.
Mhm.
Where you're, or I mean, I guess it could be other colors, but the string theory is that you're connected to all these other people.
Yeah, because well, when they talked about that whole twin flame thing, which I think
Mm, yeah, I'm really iffy on a twin flame thing. I think you can have um
multiple.
like these cords, like these pacts that you make with specific people in different past lives, and you told them at every future life that you have, I will be there for X, Y, and Z reason for you. You
Mhm.
can make a pact. You could have made a pact with this person 10 lifetimes ago, Bill.
Yeah.
And they'll, I mean, they can come through as a, um, I guess you want to say a word twin flame, but I don't like using the word twin flame because I feel like the TikTok people, the movement on TikTok, have really given the twin flame word a bad name.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, okay, it's like in the
It's like, "Oh,
mythology.
I can't live without you and you have to be with me forever." And they'll go through heartache and abuse and everything else and be like, "Oh, it's okay because he's my twin flame." That's bullshit.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was.
And that's why I hate the word twin flame and I hate what they've turned it into.
Mhm. Well, because it's like, well, why isn't that you couldn't have like multiple folks that you have the same experience with at the same time, you know?
Oh, totally. I mean, there's a lot of people that I've not met in person that I have this incredible connection with. And
Mhm.
to me, it feels like a past life connection, but we live in different areas of the world. Like my friend Yadira here, the one from underneath the veil of marigold. Her and I are so much alike. It's crazy. and we
Mhm.
talk every single day, and I feel like she's my best friend, and I've known her in other past lives, but I've never in this life, I've never met her in person. But in
Yeah.
past lives, I know I did.
Yeah. Then have you ever met your evil self? Evil twin?
I don't think I have an evil twin, Bill.
This is not necessarily
Like
an
an
evil.
evil, like a doppelganger?
Yes, but there's this is an experience. This was I pretty much had to change my phone number to get away from this doppelganger type of experience. But the guy was
Did he
like,
look
"What?"
like you?
Yes, but like 20 years.
Well,
And
that's
so
so cool,
and
Bill.
but the difference being is the guy was, like, totally into drugs and alcohol, and he would,
So the
call
complete opposite of you.
yeah, the complete opposite, and then, I used to talk with him on the phone. He was a poet, and he was a pretty good writer,
Yeah.
uh, but he was crazy. He said, "I'm gonna come and visit you," and I says, "No, you're not. You're not yeah, I don't wanna meet you at all. I don't
Yeah.
wanna meet that
I
person at
mean
all."
I
Yeah,
guess that's possible. I mean, I've never met my evil twin, so, I mean, I guess that's
yeah,
possible to happen. I've heard
yeah,
it. I mean, and there's you can have your doppelganger, someone that looks like you
mhm.
and is a complete, either they're nice like you or they're not nice like you, I guess, I think anything's possible. I really will never
Mhm.
not believe or question something like that ever again after everything that I've been learning. So, I'm never going to say, "Oh, that's not true," because anything is possible.
Yeah, yeah, uh, yeah, so my sister is a sleep specialist.
Oh, that's cool.
So education is in her bachelor's was in anthropology, and then she did a 2-year degree in, respiratory therapist, and then after that, she got into sleep, and then, worked as a sleep technologist, and then, so she was talking about, 'cause she has runs a company where she sells
Where she
sleep.
builds the insurance company, yeah, not sells it.
Yeah, she doesn't sell it, and so, she sells, CPAP
Oh,
supplies and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. So people that have sleep apnea, obstructive
Yeah,
sleep apnea
yeah.
or OSA.
And so what Cosmic maybe doesn't understand is that sometimes when people are in their own businesses, they get overly obsessed by their businesses, and so they can't
Because you're surrounded by it the whole time, yeah.
and it never leaves your mind, and so yeah, so if you might be talking about things, it's because it's the stuff that has gone on in your day and so forth, but
Yeah.
yeah,
And you can't get away from it.
can't get away from it. My dad
Yeah.
was a business owner, and so yeah, he worked all the time. But anyways, what was we talking about the whole? Yeah, so we had a lot of jumping around here, talking about a bunch of different stuff.
No, that's cool. I like that. We definitely kept people in the chat moving because everybody was laughing and having talking about poop ghost and or ghost poop and
Ghost poop and yeah,
all
yeah.
that
So,
twin
so when
flames and physics and
so how old were you when you first started? Now you when you first started this journey, but then your first time of being awareness, I'm guessing is you were much older, was a few years ago when
yeah.
you had that. But when you were younger, what kind of experiences did you have when you were younger?
I was about 9 years old and I was seeing a ghost. I was tasting like blood. If there was like a death, we'd go to a cemetery. I could taste all of that stuff. Um, I didn't know who to ask. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't have that relationship like that with my mom where I could just tell her anything. So I was never able to. I didn't have anyone that I could confine in and talk to. Or at the same time, I'm 9 years old. I thought everybody had these abilities. I thought everybody could do those things, and to me, it just was a normal thing. when it really hit me that it was different is my dad passed away a couple years after that, but the day before he passed away and he was leaving the house and I saw him leave like out the door, I had the automatic knowing that I was never going to see him again.
Mm,
So
yeah.
then that's when I remember stuff happening. Um After he passed away, I probably don't remember about 4 years of my life, like, at all. I don't remember anything. My
Yeah.
siblings would say, "Oh, we were doing blah, blah, blah at such and such location, and don't you remember?" And I'm like, "Where the hell was I?" And they're like, "No, you were there." And I don't remember. I don't have any recollections for about, I don't know, maybe 4 years of that life right after that. I don't remember
Yeah.
any. So when I had my palm read, and that's going to go back to palm reading, I had my palm read by Rochelle from Amethyst Ascension. Her sister Carla does palm reading, and she was reading my palms, and my palms are completely different. Not only the coloring is different, all the lines on my palms are completely different from one hand to the other. And she
Mhm.
said, by looking at it, it looks like you had alien intervention around, she's like, your early teenage years. And I'm like, that's kind of funny because I don't remember anything around that time frame.
Hmm.
And I'm like, "Well, what do you mean like alien intervention?" She goes, she's like, "It's not that you were like,
Abducted, but
abducted, but she's like, it looks like they altered things about you and why you're more aware of things."
hmm. That's
It's really
interesting.
weird. It's such an odd concept, but when she told me this was like, I don't know, not even, I don't know, 3 months ago maybe she said this to me as she was reading my palms, and she did like an in-depth reading. We probably had a 2-hour conversation. Um, I had to send her about 12 pictures of my hands, and then we talked about stuff like that on like a face-to-face video.
Wow. It's
But she
interesting.
mentioned, she's like, your hands are completely different, and the coloring is completely different, and their lines, she's like, they make zero sense. If you would look at them, they don't even look like they belong to the same person.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But she said it looks like you had alien intervention. She's like, and I don't see that often. I've only seen it once before.
So you had intervention, but you don't like
That's
having.
insane, and I don't remember anything during that time frame,
Well, that could be, but that could also just be that that was after your dad passed away,
and I
and
was so traumatized, which I
yes,
was, yeah, that he was gone, that I mentally blocked everything out. I
yes.
and I feel like you block things out like that to kind of protect yourself,
Hmm. Well,
which is where a lot of that healing, inner child healing happens, and that's stuff that I am working on. But I feel like you block out a lot of things to protect yourself. Which
mhm.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I did that. I don't, because I don't remember anything. But then my spiritual part, I became a mom at 17 years old. So I was very busy being a mom. I was still in high school. I graduated with honors, but I dedicated my life to my kids. Yeah. I dedicated my life to my kids. And as I was telling Ramon in the In Orbit, there's things that a mom does to help heal their children, and I didn't really look at it as I was doing magic. I was just being a mom who was trying to heal your kids when they're sick, like a touch, and to help heal the pain or heal anything that they were dealing with. That was just normal stuff that I didn't really I really didn't think was magic, and it didn't hit me until probably like 8 years ago is when I started really diving into my magical practice.
Hmm. Yeah. So, but then yeah, that's interesting. So, but magic being that's just kind of like a tool to
Mhm.
to or your tools of alchemy to change one thing to another. Your um
But I think as a mom, you just naturally, for me, it was just a natural thing to do. healing on my children. I had 3 boys who were in sports, and they were
Hmm.
in Boy Scouts. They were always getting themselves hurt, everything. So as a mom, I mean, for me, I did everything I could to help them,
Hmm.
and they were always fine, like, after I would help them, so to me, it was just a normal. I thought every mom had those abilities.
Let's see. So what is it? Was it from Star Trek? It was one person's mumbo jumbo is another person's magic and another person's science and technology.
Yeah.
That was from a novel that called Strangers from the Sky, which I've read more than any other novel, and it
Yep.
never none of the information ever made it into the Star Trek canon.
Oh, okay.
And but if we talk about Star Trek, there was that one planet on the net that where they beam down on it, and then everything they think starts to become reality, and then
Which can happen now too, and the same thing, like anything. I mean, like,
yeah.
again, mind is a powerful thing, and if you can think it, you can make it happen. You really just have to have that. Um, you really just have to. I mean, really put your whole mind and soul into thinking that that's what's happening. And I mean, I feel like you can do anything. Your mind is such a powerful thing. I
Yeah,
mean, it was powerful enough for me to help me forget those 4 years because I was so
Mhm.
traumatized.
Yeah, alien intervention. Is that
Yeah.
something that you are interested in
Oh, I love
looking?
alien stuff. Yeah. I love
Yeah,
conspiracies, aliens. I totally believe. Um, do you believe, Bill?
about the you mean like
Aliens?
ancient alien theory,
Hmm.
or do I believe that
The
they're here?
Anunnaki and all that stuff.
Yes and no. I'm not so sure. I sometimes I entertain those ideas a lot, and when I was younger, of course, when I would entertain those ideas when I would be um, having conversations with Bible believers. But I was more. I think my spirit of doing it was more of wanting to be not to be hassled by them. But I think what I ended up doing is they end up praying for me all the time.
Yeah.
But anyways, and yeah, yeah,
Yes, your sister said it could have been stress mode. I lost. She said she lost a year after your dad died.
yeah. Well, so after Dad died, actually, I remember Ann telling me that on because when she saw right before, like the last time that she saw her dad was she thought she'd never see him again, and then the accident happened like 2 days later, and that was
Hmm.
that
And that
was
was me with seeing my dad leave the house and knowing that I was never going to see him again.
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
So it's.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Hmm.
that's using tarot as treatment. That'd be like because it's a way to uncover into you use it like a shovel to dig
The
up stuff,
psyche. Yeah.
dig up stuff out of your psychic. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really cool that they're a lot more open into using or utilizing the tarot for stuff like that.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
They're a little bit more progressive. I guess that's the word.
Well, because it's like where was it? I mean, it's like, do you believe that the tarot is ancient, or do you think it's like more modern?
Oh, totally ancient.
I mean, like it goes way back, or do you think maybe like it was more like what Waite thought that it came into being in like the 1400s.
Yeah, I think that's possible because look at all the stuff stuff that's on the walls,
Yeah.
all of the pictures that they've used on the walls for to predict, to talk about what happened. I mean, it's kind of like we're doing the same thing with tarot decks. We're
Yeah.
talking about the
Well, I mean,
past, we're talking about predictions.
well, no, they were doing predictions and
Yeah,
stuff
the
like
Nephilim.
that. But I was like thinking of it
I
that
think we just found a different way to do it, and we're doing. I mean, we're making them in all these decks. You know, like
Mhm.
that's we are our civilization has put it into a paper copy of it.
Yeah, Clint, you're a Nephilim, a descendant of.
Yeah, the Nephilim.
He's a Nephilim, yeah.
I mean,
Anyway,
I believe in all of that. Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's like I was thinking. You had in the past uh you had with the zodiac and the astrology, and so the people they had their modes, and this what they were looking up in the sky. It was all up there, and then somebody got the bright idea to take this pack of cards or whatever, and just and started maybe with whatever they had a vision or whatever, and it became what the tarot is, and then and so forth, and it's getting late,
No,
and
so that's making me think of what if some other civilization brought down the tarot?
yeah. And it probably did, but maybe it was just a different tool. But
Right.
maybe
Yeah.
the tarot, as it started with the Solabusca tarot, maybe that was a totally, it was, a Western invention that
Hmm.
came from the church. It was, but it was the church. It was Christian esotericism and Hebrew esotericism that it came out of, and which is and also
Wow.
like the Rosicrucianism, the
Yeah.
ceremonial magic, and all of that. These hidden societies or the things that the church tried to destroy when the
Hmm.
church, because the church became the church as we know it. In my
Correct. And that's when, I mean, again, that also goes all the way back to the Knights Templar were trying to destroy the Knights Templar
Yeah.
because they had became so powerful and they wanted to dismantle them so that they could take their money and take what it is that they believed that the Knights Templar were holding secret.
Yeah. So Clint is on the fence between this is flat Earth and round Earth. I think he's been getting there, but
Oh.
yeah, yeah, there was that. Yeah,
Good
yeah.
night, Leila. Thank you.
Well, Clint was on. He came on, and we did a paint off. I think that was the like a little over about 6 weeks ago. It was fun.
Oh, nice. Speaking of Lila, you're going to have Lila on your show?
Um, I guess who's Lila?
Tapestry of the
Yes, we
Unseen?
are. We're going to talk about animal consciousness.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Because I sometimes when I'm under a lot of stress, I see animal spirits, mostly dogs.
Oh, so they're trying to comfort you.
Yeah, yeah, it would be like
Yeah, it's a
I
comforting
would
thing because
look
dogs
out
are like your best
in the
friend, so
corner.
you want to be comforted.
Yeah, in the corner of my.
That's what I'm automatically thinking is
Yeah,
they're comforting you.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm getting close to the end of my lifespan of my lights. I mean,
Okay.
one of them is going to go out on me soon because I have a lot of these camera lights.
Oh, I have a big ring light that's plugged
Yeah,
in.
yeah. So I went with the square panels
Mhm.
because um I didn't like looking at people's videos and seeing the ring light
Mhm.
reflected off their eyeballs, and so with
Yeah.
my own
I mean, mine has like different levels and I kind of have it pretty low, but I have all the lights off and like all around me. There's no lights on except for the ring light.
yeah, I do have the my overhead, which is the wrong color, and then I have these two
That's why I
candles.
turned off everything and just left the ring light on
Yeah.
for the
Well,
coloring.
the first couple times I tried live streaming was when I did it that way, the streams were all blurry, and so I assume that I'm not getting the in this room here. I'm getting this the amount of Wi-Fi signal strength is not that great. So
Yeah.
that's why I recommend before you come on that you restart your devices and everything, because of you might get some weird echoes, or you want to clean out your memory on
Yeah.
your phone so that you have it's all so it's so everything is there, so to make sure that nothing goes wrong, because a lot of things go wrong when you do these things,
Oh,
because
totally. Yeah.
with freezes or pixelated streams or whatever, and you have no
Mhm.
idea they're all over with if it was a good stream or whatnot, and so far we've only froze once on this.
Yeah, I noticed that. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's been going well and I feel like it's clear. I'm watching it on my cell phone device right next to me and it's been
Mhm.
fine, so it looks pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this has been a lot of fun. I did want
It
to
has
ask
been.
about,
Yeah.
and this being that it was my first time doing this type of a thing, and
Mhm.
I wanted to
So you were
to
like interviewing me.
yes, I'm trying and trying to do that, because it's like when I started this channel, this is actually what I wanted to do.
Oh, cool.
Just this very very thing, and to do that. And if you were to look at some of my first episodes, I was trying to mimic that and
How long
everything.
have so how long has this channel been on YouTube?
It's going on 3 years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, 3 years almost.
Nice.
So he's thank Pope Bill, and yeah, yeah. But there was like one the other thing I
Thanks Cosmic for
yeah,
being an incredible mod.
yeah, yeah, he's been really good, and he's gonna come on sometime too, and maybe
Yeah,
we
and
can.
then my friend underneath the veil of
Yeah,
miracle said she'd come on.
yeah, yeah. So I guess I want to maybe I'll ask, because it was being that I had this experience with a with that one person when I was in Israel, and I looked at, and I've had it another time when I dated that lawyer too,
He
where
said I hid your sister.
yeah, and
Whoops.
he was my
It
sister. Yeah,
happened. Yeah, it happens, Cosmic.
it happened. Yeah, well, I accidentally hid Karen once. I was
Whoops.
trying to hide Karen Care Bear the bar, and I was like trying to
Yeah, and then your finger gets stuck on whatever it is
yeah,
happening
and
in.
I hid her by mistake, and I often don't
Happens.
hide. I often don't hide the trolls, because I have had the trolls. I've unless they're like really gross, then I'll tend to try to, well, and try to keep them on, because they'll sometimes they'll go away on their own if they're not getting anywhere, or sometimes they end up becoming a regular viewer. And that happens too, because most of the trolls are just like they're 14 or something, but
Yeah. But if
I,
you ignore them, it's like they're gonna go away on their own.
yeah, yeah, usually, and then you get that
Even if
watch.
they sell insurance.
Yeah,
Right, Cosmic?
and then you get that watch time, and then and
Yeah.
everything. But so like when I'm doing the art and stuff like that, I don't
Mhm. I
you
like
know
your art, especially with the alien versions of it. Those are really cool.
yeah, yeah. So well, that was this one here.
Yeah, I think you did the tower card. Oh, that one's really cool.
This is like your three of a reinterpretation of the three of
Yeah, that's so cool. Are you
yeah.
selling any of those, Bill?
No, I'm still just working on them.
Yeah.
It's hard to produce to you do YouTube. It's like
Mhm.
hard to do too much extra, and you're doing school too, and And yeah.
I am.
Hmm. But anyways, what I was saying, was I'm trying. I don't know, maybe you can have a comment on this, and then I'll have to let you go. But so, if looking into a person's eyes, and then I saw their face change into all these different faces. Have you had that experience looking into your partner's eyes, or is that
No,
just a me thing?
no, I've never seen that happen.
I've had it happen a
Not
few
like
times.
their face changing. No.
Changes, yeah, and like so when the first time it happened, we just stared into her eyes, and we it was like being, when I mentioned like you get into like a different zone. Well, I felt
Mhm.
that different zone there. Maybe I was in
I
the.
mean, I see like different colors and like the energy starts like getting warped around people, but I don't see like their faces changing. Like I could see um like energy changing and colors changing when I'm looking, when I'm not like, I mean, I can't specifically say a specific person it's going to happen, but it just happens.
Mhm. So, it was be like the face changing, and it would be like male, female. It was different in like
Oh,
in one. It was like when
you're
this
looking
one
at an alien or something?
alien faces too.
That's what I'm saying. Were you probably looking at an alien? Like you were able to decipher and realize that who they really were?
Well, it was a person who it was the only person I ever proposed to,
Interesting.
and
Huh.
um, the only person I ever proposed to, and I, oh, how and I I don't have any contact with her anymore because my the heartbreak was very deep and very severe, that it did take like 8, almost 10 years to recover from that. So
Um,
it was a really a deep thing. And so, but and then but anyways, and it was like, I don't know, um, but then I had that experience again when I was in Seattle with this other lady, and it was we I think, I don't know if she was seeing different faces on me, but I certainly saw different faces on her.
ever watched the movie They Live, the Bill Carpenter movie? Not the Bill, the what's his name? I'm losing his name. Carpenter.
That's
Um,
a horror film. I don't watch horror films.
so he would put on glasses and he would see that they were aliens and he was able to
Hmm.
tell who was an alien and who wasn't an alien.
Hmm.
John Carpenter
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, I know who
Yeah.
you're talking about, because he did like that Pinhead movie,
Hmm.
and my yeah,
And I think that
yeah.
the movie's called They Live. Yeah.
Um, to my sister, what trolls are is people who pop in, and
Yeah.
they pop in to your streams, and they either
Especially
ask
live stream.
outrageous
Like they love coming into live
questions.
streams.
They come in, they ask outrageous questions, or they make really gross comments, or or whatever, and they're trying to see what kind of a reaction they're it's trolls, as they're fishing for reactions.
Hmm.
You're, you're trolling, and you're fishing for reactions. And that's what a troll is. It's a
Hmm.
looking for reactions, and so I generally you kind of spot that it's a troll,
That's
and
what like Cosmic was doing. So people with like the wrenches next to their name are able to either hide or delete those comments
yeah.
if they see trolls coming in.
So I had a troll in here, and when last summer, and it was kind of an ongoing saga, and then the person said, "Well, I'm going to die tomorrow," and then they never came back, and I thought, okay, well, maybe that was, but what was kind of fun was that when that person, for the first 10 times that that person came in, it was a lot of fun.
And then they're like really like annoying.
and they were annoying, but it was really fun. It made the chat livened up, and it was like when I
Yeah.
was doing when I was doing paper mache and stuff like that. But
Oh, like
then
your mask?
yeah, then the person was like wanting me to do live streams, but I didn't want to do them. And I said, sorry, I don't, I do live streams on these days, and that's it. And
Yeah.
then they disappeared. But then I thought they came back under another guise at one time,
Alias?
and I just figured they would just come back eventually. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah, they'll spam up your chat. Yeah, I've had that happen. Spam up the chat. Yeah.
That's why we have people in here with wrenches to help minimize or
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
so my first my first wrench was some kid from Alaska, and yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
So they say they were from Alaska.
yeah, the kid was from Alaska, I believe him.
Okay.
I didn't get the sense that he was lying to me. I do get the senses when people are lying to me. I know when people are
Yeah.
in, but I don't think that the person was lying to me. But that person other troll that was in here, I knew they were lying to me,
Yeah.
and the story changed all the time. And anyways,
Hammer works than a wrench.
hammer works better than a wrench. And all
uh,
right, well, I really thank you for coming on with this
yeah.
conversation.
Thanks for having me on, Bill. This was really fun.
Yeah, and then there's also the fact that I wanted to say is that your first time doing
I
live streams
was
was
with
with
you.
me, and now
I
you're
was
like all over the
scared shitless, Bill.
yeah, and now you're all over the place.
Oh yeah. But yeah, but you're with my first live and I was like, because I mean I have severe anxiety, so and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to be saying or what I'm going to be talking about or how am I going to make this time fly and how is anything I say interesting? Like that was what I was thinking this whole time.
Yeah. Hmm. But
So
you're doing fine, right? You don't feel
no, I don't have anxiety anymore. But now now I call on my guides and now I ground properly and now
hmm.
it's like second nature. I mean, I've done 4 of them this week. So yeah.
Yeah, you have done multiple ones this week. Yeah.
Yeah, I did readings on Monday for Cinco de Mayo. And then
That's
Tuesday I was in orbit. And then yesterday what was I doing yesterday?
you were doing a
Oh, we
panel.
had our show with Ramon and
Bobby.
Bobby, and then today we're
Yeah.
gonna have like our normal regular Thursday show with Ramon and Bobby.
So, when you said you were doing a show called Under the Moon, but even before that name came out, I was already working on this thumbnail called Under the Moon.
Really? How funny.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I was like, and so I didn't like say that I was that was, and then it popped up, and
Yeah.
I had that idea too. It's
Or
just
no,
called
he did
Under the
Behind the
Moon.
Moon.
It was behind his was behind the moon, and I thought,
Yeah.
well, but then that's your channel name,
But to me,
Essence.
I was like, oh, that's like the dark side of the moon. So, and it's funny because we talk about, different topics, darker topics that not everybody talks about on YouTube. So to me, when he said behind the moon, I instantly thought the dark side of the moon. And what does everybody think about the dark side of the moon is alien stuff. Like, why
Yeah,
doesn't the moon turn? Why doesn't it rotate? Why do you only see one side of the moon when everything else around us rotates
it rotates too. It just rotates so
with
slow.
us and it rotates with
Yeah,
us?
it rotates around, and
Mhm.
it's spinning in a different thing, and then it's just you always only see one side because of the way the Earth's
We're
rotating.
spinning and then they're spinning. So
Exactly. So it's nothing.
why
It's
don't
not.
we see the dark side, the back side of it? Yeah. So
We
that's why
don't.
when he said behind the moon, I'm like, to me, I instantly thought the dark side of the moon, and we're gonna be talking about all types of divination and witchcraft. So it's like the darker topics.
Yeah. Well, it's like I have a one of my second channel that I did was called Dark Side Poetry. The first one it was is something else, but that's my main channel that has I have all the the very first one that has all the the stuff. So it's
Your
like
poetry?
poetry.
Mhm.
I'm taking all those videos down, but it's like because that's like my museum of discarded art, and
Yeah, but those videos were cool, I like them.
yeah, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, I have a hard time watching them because they're but that's you have everybody has a place where they begin.
Oh, totally, and
Yeah.
I think, being introduced on your channel, and then Heather put me on her channel, and then Bobby put me on his. I think all of that was prepping me for the weekly series that we just started on Thursday, started yesterday. So I think my
Yeah.
guys were pushing all of that to happen
Hmm.
so that I could be mentally prepared for what was going to happen 4 months later,
Yeah.
you know? So my guides were reaching out to you, Bill, to be like, okay, we got to get Selena on the show, and we gotta start getting her comfortable enough to do lives on a regular basis because she's going to be doing lives on a regular basis.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and doing lives actually takes up less time than
Oh, totally. Then actually making them and editing and all that stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because like those first those first videos that I have on this channel, like there's one of them. I think there's like 45 seconds long. I know that I spent over 100 hours doing
Yeah, I
it.
remember you telling me how long it took you to edit
Yeah, and
one of those.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And so a lot of those
it's a
they
lot
took
of
a.
work to edit.
It does. It takes a long time, and then
Hmm.
I get one I put out this morning. Or here, I'll be done in a minute, Mom. Okay, looks like I got to wrap things up. The,
Sounds good, Phil. Well, it was great talking to you, and it was thanks for having me come along with you on
yeah,
on the chatting ride. Yeah, we had a good time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you'll come on again someday, another time, I'm sure. And
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Okay, Bill. Well, thanks
Oh,
again. Thanks to
thank
everybody in chat,
everybody
guys.
for coming, and thank you, Anne, for hanging out and
Yeah, thank
underneath the
you.
veils of
Marigold.
miracles
Yeah,
and everyone else, and Cosmic for
hammering down on people.
yeah, what was it? Moderating. That's right, moderating. Yeah.
Thanks,
All right.
Cosmic.
Bye
Bye,
bye. Bye. Bye, Clint. Yeah. Good night.
guys. Good night, guys.